Not to be Forgotten, by Tony Angelo. I catch myself thinking about the little things that slip through the cracks of our memory. A friend from childhood, the smell of a stranger's perfume, the feel of smooth metal slipping between your fingers. I never knew until last night how far apart the cracks could gape. I wish I had not forgotten my father's warning. Some things are better left unremembered. It was during a chilly autumn evening that I found the box tucked away in the attic, covered by a thin coat of dust. The stench of mildew hung heavy in the air, but I forced myself to lift the lid. There were a collection of yellowing photographs and brittle letters inside. My heart was racing as I pulled out the first photo, a group, smiling, unaware that their lives were about to spiral into insanity. My father was young but disturbed. Something in the glint of his eye. It rang an alarm in me. One letter stood out in the letters, the ink barely legible. Do not engage. They will get you. My hands trembled as I read the words of warning, a growing sinkhole of fear brewing in my stomach. What could it possibly mean? I had never come across this warning. I always thought of my father's past as something to be admired, never-ending tales of strength and survival, tales that illuminated the dark corners of his youth. I had never thought that it could hold remnants of evil. As I rummaged through the contents of the box, memory flashes screened in my mind. I remembered the midnight conversations, how my father skirted certain subjects, how his face became granite at the mention of his brother Arthur. They were inseparable until something intruded between them. I was a child then, naive and blind to dangers lurking in secrets. Driven by stubbornness and curiosity, I got the courage to dial my father's number and inquire about Arthur. It was late when I called him, the soft glow of the attic bulb guiding my fingers over the old letters again. The phone rang, and it was followed by enough silence to make me nervous. At last he responded, and that familiarity I knew so well enveloped me, yet it was undermined by something cold, something like fear. "Dad, I found something in the attic," I began, hesitating before I spoke the name Arthur. "Don't," he interrupted, his voice sharp and panicked. "Put it back where you found it. We never speak of it again, you hear me?" But how was I to know when everything inside me screamed for answers? The atavistic urge to excavate deeper seized me like a tidal wave. I pressed on, even though I might be ruining a relationship I'd treasured. "Why, Dad? What happened between you two?" He let out a weary sigh, longer than I anticipated. "You don't want to know. Trust me. Sometimes ignorance is bliss." But then it struck me. Only the previous day, I had reluctantly agreed to accompany him to a little commemoration in Arthur's remembrance. What if this was the reason for his sudden nerviness? What if the myths of forgotten histories were not just buried memories, but something that waited in the shadows to return? "I'll find out," I said to him, taking a brave step forward, fear and resolve intertwining. I could feel my father's heart switch on the other end of the line. "Listen carefully, my dear. If you look into this, you may not like what you discover. Some things are better left in the dark." Too late. Curiosity had ignited a flame that could not be extinguished. I attended the gathering the next day, holing myself up in the room as testimonials to Arthur's life unfolded. There was laughter, acrid and in fits, but all of it was dominated by an unnerving undertone. I heard individuals in snatches of conversation refer to the incident in lowered voices, a term that appeared to hang forebodingly in the air. It was there that I came across Marjorie, who took a seat next to me. Her grey hair shone, and her eyes twinkled with memories that were tinged with sorrow. I braced myself, ready to pose the questions that had weighed on my heart. "Arthur was a good man," she began, her voice husky and lazy, winding around me like mist. "But he was involved in things I daren't speak of. Politics, yes, but black politics." I leaned in closer, urging her on with a nod. "A war of a sort, not of bullets, but of secrets that could ruin lives. Your father was trying to protect you only. Arthur made choices, unthinkable choices." She glanced toward the group, her caution weighed down by fear. He was trying to fight the darkness, but it just consumed him. They wanted him to forget, just like they wanted me to forget. A cold shiver crept down my spine. Forgotten. It all began to make sense. The pictures from the box, the letters, the whispered warnings. That night, when I returned, darkness swirled at the edges of my vision. Somehow, I could sense the weight of observing eyes, a sensation that was to be the first strand ripping a fabric of bitter memories. My father's words echoed in my mind, their decibel rising. They will come for you. Days passed, and I waited, expecting the darkness to descend upon me, knowing this path I had set out to pursue. The evening before I went up to the attic again, I woke to a soft tapping at my window. The sound familiar and yet frightening, a remembered lullaby. My eyes snapped open to find a figure standing over me, silhouetted in the dark. My throat emitted a gasp as I realized who it was. My uncle, the very man whose name had been shrouded in secrecy and whose fate had become uncertain. "Don't you remember?" he whispered, a raspy voice slipping through broken memories. "You must recover what they stole from us. They want you to forget, but I will not allow it." I now stand at the doorstep of something wicked, poised on the edge of knowledge and unawareness. I know the truth is in the depths of our past, concealed in the stories we never told, in the shadows of faces we tried to erase. In that moment, the gravity of his words spilled around me, reminding that what's hidden in the dark isn't just memory, it's danger made of secrets and complex inheritances. The hours stretched out before us, like a dark road, littered with deceptions of safety. But I will not forget, for my father, for Arthur, for the ones who are still trapped in the web of a shattered past. I will not forget them. Time to confront the darkness head on.